Hello, my name's Jack Shamash, and I'm giving a series of talks about Jews and anti-Semitism. And we often hear that there's a huge rise in anti-Semitism, and I'm hoping to show that the extent of anti-Semitism is being grossly exaggerated in this country. Now, all the newspapers rely upon information from two sources. The first one is something called the Community Security Trust, which is a well-established Jewish charity. And the other is a relatively new group called the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism. Now, the Community Security Trust has said that the number of anti-Semitic incidents has doubled over the last 4 years, and that last year there were 1,309 incidents reported. And a lot of this is obviously because incidents are being taken more seriously. So it's not entirely the case that more incidents are taking place. As the CST actually themselves admit, this might just be that it might be largely because people are actually more prepared to come forward and actually complain about things. But let's go into the figures in a bit more depth. Of the 1,309 incidents which occurred, 1,006 were abusive behaviour. That's about 3/4 of them are just abusive behaviour and mild threats. And this would also include such things as graffiti. Now, a quarter of these incidents took place online, and there were only 107 violent anti-Semitic assaults during the course of the year. And none of these were very serious. They didn't involve grievous bodily harm or threats to life. So we're talking about relatively minor incidents where no one required medical treatment. Now, obviously this is not very nice, but it doesn't leave me quaking in my boots. I still feel that Britain is fairly welcoming to Jews, that this really hasn't changed over the last year or so. Now, there's another set of figures which is often quoted. This is from the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, and it purports to show that we're facing a huge rise in anti-Semitism. I'm not convinced that it does anything of the kind. It's all highly sensationalist. The figures are gathered by YouGov, which is a polling organisation, and the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism is determined to see the British public as anti-Semitic. They asked 3,411 people if they agreed with the following statements, a certain number of statements. And these were things like, Jews chase money more than other British people. And the campaign in their statement at the end of the year said, shockingly, almost half of British adults, 45%, believe at least one of these anti-Semitic statements to be true. Well, let's have a look at those statements. The first one, Jews chase money more than other people. Now, 25% agreed with this statement. But is this bad? I mean, I can remember attending the Jewish Board of Deputies when it was being addressed by Mrs. Thatcher, and she pointed out that Jews were entrepreneurial and hardworking and very keen to be successful, and everyone cheered her. She obviously thought it was a good thing that Jews chased money more than other British people. 20% of the non-Jews questioned think that the Jews' loyalty to Israel makes them less loyal to Britain than other British people. Now, many academics actually agree with this statement. I mean, there are many British Jews, for example, who would be happy to join the Israeli army, but they would never contemplate joining the British army. It doesn't mean that they are bad British citizens, but they certainly do have divided loyalties. 1 in 6 people believe that Jews think they are better than other people. Well, arguably, this is correct. I mean, if Jews didn't think that their religion made them special in some way, why would they want to be Jewish? I think you could say the same about any religion. I mean, Catholics and Protestants think they are, in many ways, better than other people. They have the right kind of faith and the right kind of values as far as they're concerned. This would make them better. The problem is that this sort of questioning shows nothing. All it does is create tensions. The campaign then comes up with a lot of statements and asks Jews if they agree. and they arrive at predictably inflammatory results. For example, 45% of Jews feel that their families were threatened by Islamic extremism. Well, I think most people feel that they are threatened by Islamic extremism. 64% of Jews feel that the authorities let too much anti-Semitism go unpunished. Well, I think that most crimes go unpunished too much. And the survey also suggests that almost half of Jews are not sure whether Jews have a long-term future in Britain. Well, my family, after many, many years in Iraq, had to leave. And many Jews have also had to leave Germany and Poland. So perhaps it's not surprising that Jews, given our background, that Jews are not sure about their future. And I think the point I'm making is that if you ask silly questions, you get silly answers. And if the questions are silly enough, they make ordinary people fearful. And I'll go further than that, they promote racism.